iPad today with which features the tech giant hopes will drive excitement for tablets amid slowing demand. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Beth Haynes. Apple introduced two new iPads this afternoon. One is the iPad Air 2. The other, an update to its iPad mini device. And joining us now is our tech expert, Dan Thompson with Claris Networks, to break down these new devices and give us a little more info about them. Let's start with the iPad Air 2. It's a thinner device. And it has some features previously only available on iPhones, right?
Yeah, that's right. So the biggest one that they were saying that everybody's been asking for was the thumbprint reader, or the fingerprint reader, I should say. So that was huge. The camera got a really nice upgrade. They were saying that, more people were using iPads for the cameras than they initially thought, or at least they said they were surprised by how many people were using the camera on it. So it now has an 8-megapixel camera. They didn't come out and say it was the same camera as the iPhone 6, but it sounded like the specs lined up pretty well. So that's a nice upgrade. Of course, it's thinner, it's faster, it's lighter. I think, and this is going to be one of those things that we'll probably look back on in 5 years and laugh at, but I think we've gotten about as thin as we can. When they were talking about the reduction in size on these things, they were talking about removing air gaps. So we're down to removing air gaps. However, it is extremely thin. And what's interesting is you can take two of the new iPad Airs and stack them together, and that's still thinner than the original iPad.
Oh, wow.
So these things are very thin. Should be exciting new device to check out.
Also mentioned that Apple has updated its iPad mini. Let's talk about some of the new features on this device.
Yeah, so this one they didn't talk just a whole lot about. They just kind of announced that they have it. They did say that it had an upgraded camera. However, it's a 5-megapixel camera, which there was a lot of grumbling on the internet about that. But it seemed like similar features and functionality to the iPad Air, but also just in a smaller case. But we do have some differences in processing power and the amount of RAM that's in the devices. So they are kind of diverging a little bit now. But what's interesting is they didn't talk just a whole lot about it. Hey, we have one. They showed the complete lineup. They talked more about price this time than they generally do, saying that, hey, we're lowering prices, which that's not a message you generally hear from Apple.
It's not. Is that, what do you make of that?
Well, so it just seems as though they are trying to compete more. Typically in Apple's events, they wouldn't even acknowledge that they have competitors. Around the time that Tim Cook took charge, they started acknowledging that Android even existed. And now it seems like they have, just this complete lineup of tablets in all shapes and sizes that you might want and all price ranges. So it just seems like they're just trying to be more of a competitor than they previously were.
You mentioned price ranges. Give us an idea of the sticker price on these and when people will actually be able to purchase these new devices.
Yes, so the new devices start out at $399 for the least expensive one, and then they run up about as high as you want to spend if you want to add in 4G to that. You can pre-order them tomorrow, and they said they will ship sometime next week. They didn't say exactly, but it sounds like you'll be able to have one in your hands at least by the end of October, if I'm doing the math right in my head as far as days.
Okay. Well, Apple also announced its new mobile payment system, Apple Pay. It's going to launch next week. So tell us how the system works.
Yeah, so essentially this is very similar to if you have a credit card that you can just tap on the screens, like at, say, McDonald's or wherever. It's a very similar technology. So basically what Apple Pay allows you to do is set up a credit card in your phone, and then you just pull your phone out and you'll tap it to those credit card terminals in various restaurants and merchants around. So it's a nice feature. I will say this, though. This feature has been available in Android for years, and no one uses it. However, Android has not gone to the great lengths that Apple has to establish partners. And I think that's the key to the success of Apple Pay.
We've only got 30 seconds left, but a new operating system will be available next week. Yosemite for Macs, new features.
Solid contender. The most interesting thing about that to me was you can now pass documents back and forth seamlessly between all your devices. So as an example, if you start editing a photo on your iPhone, you can seamlessly pass it to your desktop and keep working on it. Very, very slick feature.
Cool, that is. All right, well, thanks for breaking down these devices and new additions from the payment system to the new operating system.
No problem.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, coming up,